Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Bueno here, back again with a brand new video today. So a little over a year ago, I bought and I did a review and unboxing of this LG Ultra Gear monitor right here, and it actually ended up doing very well. It became the most viewed video on my channel with over 12,000 views. So to any of you who watched that video, I really appreciate it. And to any of you who subscribed to the channel because of that video, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. However, I did think while I was watching that video that there's a lot of things about the monitor that I kind of didn't touch on that I want to touch on in an updated kind of video. Now that I've had this thing for about a year, I decided that I want to make a video talking about how I feel about this product, having it for about a year now, and if I still recommend getting it in 2024, considering I've had it for about a year now. I'm not entirely sure how the structuring of this video is going to go entirely. I do have like stuff written out on my little notepad about how things are going to go. I'm doing the intro right now, and I will talk about things to the camera that the audio from my voice this camera will pick up. But there's some things that I'm going to do in a more B-roll footage kind of way, where I'll probably be talking into like my iPhone or something like that. If the audio quality fluctuates or if it sounds different from here and there, that's pretty much why. But yeah, without further ado, let's talk about whether or not I still recommend picking up this monitor in 2024. So in regards to the physical specs of this monitor, I got quite a bit written down. It has a 27-inch display. The screen is 27 inches wide. Its resolution reaches a 1080p Full HD. It can go up to 165 Hz while playing games. The panel is a VA panel, because I know a lot of people were asking about if it's a VA or an IPS. I actually didn't know either of those were when I got it, but I looked this up. It's a VA panel, so if you're an IPS person for some reason, this probably isn't going to be for you. And another good question I got asked in my comments is whether or not this is a CPU monitor or just a monitor. So this is a monitor that does not have a computer built into it. This is just a screen display that you plug stuff in. So as you can see, I have my laptop plugged into my monitor. So I use this as a display for my laptop, or you could also use this as a display for your PC or for your Mac if your Mac has the capability to go into a monitor like this. This is just a display. This is not an actual computer monitor. It's just a monitor that you plug a computer into. And two other things that I think are important is that it has AMD FreeSync, which I'm not overly educated on AMD FreeSync, but it seems to me when I researched it to be like a part of the monitor that just helps your gameplay, or like it goes at a faster rate or something like that. So if AMD FreeSync is something you're interested in, it has it. It also has a 16:9 aspect ratio. Another important detail, because I mean, this probably isn't that huge, but the actual monitor number for this monitor, if you're thinking about picking this up, and I'll have a link for this in the description as well, is a 27GQ40W-B. That's a long name. I'll have it written out on screen if me reading it was not enough. So yeah. So those are the physical specs of the monitor. Now I'm going to show you some of the physical details. So in regards to the monitor's digital settings, here's the settings that I have it on, as well as a guide through the settings on this monitor. So when I hit the button underneath here, we get a menu. If I go up, it'll just shut the monitor off. If I want to hit the settings, I could just hit the center right there. It gives me all sorts of categories. So for game mode, because I play a lot of first-person shooters, I have it on FPS. However, depending on what games you're playing, you might want to have it on Gamer 1 or Gamer 2, or RTS, or Vivid, or Reader. Depending on what you're doing with this monitor, the settings will fit to your preference. But I have it on FPS. I play a lot of first-person shooters. When it comes to game adjust, I have FreeSync Premium on. I think it's just automatically on with the monitor. The black stabilizer is as the monitor came. However, if you want to mess with that and tweak the colors, you can. I have my response time on FPS as faster because I want to have the faster response time. However, before I found out about the setting, I mainly just had it on fast. And fast actually does work pretty well most of the time, but you know, you can adjust it to however you would like. I don't have any crosshair settings on, but you might want to turn them on depending on what you're doing. And then I have my FPS counter off, but these are, I've not actually used these features, but I feel like these features are probably really interesting for shooter games. And with picture, I have pretty much everything set on normal, 100% brightness, 70% contrast, and I'm not going to reset the picture. And for input, there's input list, there's HDMI DisplayPort. I'm running on HDMI, so that's what I'm doing. My aspect ratio is on 16:9 because I want the whole screen to be there. And I have auto input switch on. I'm not actually sure what that does, to be honest. And then for general, I just have, you know, English language, input game mode. I'm not sure what any of that means. Low, smart energy saving. I think these are all just automatic settings. Deep sleep mode on. Automatic standby. So pretty much whenever the display on my laptop stops doing its thing, this will also stop doing its thing. But then if it blacks and I go and I do this, it'll just come back on. And then whenever this turns off, the monitor also turns off. And okay, so for buzzer, because people ask me this, because whenever you turn the monitor on, it has a beeping sound. And I didn't know if there was a way to turn it on or off. I have it on, but actually you can turn it off and it'll just stay silent when you turn it on. The OSD lock I have off. If I'm not mistaken, I think the reason the OSD lock is like if I turned it on, this thing would stay there permanently until I turned it off. So I just have it off. And this is the information about just total power on time. And then do I want to reset? And I don't want to reset. So those are the digital settings of the monitor. Also, if you want to switch your input, you can go to the left here and just switch between HDMI and DisplayPort. I'm on HDMI, so I'm going to stay there. If you want to go on to game mode and decide which version you want to play on, Gamer 1, Gamer 2, FPS, RTS, I have it on FPS. And so that's what I have because I play first-person shooter games. But if you just want to quickly move to a different setting, you can go here and change it. Or if you also just want to see what your hertz ratio is like while you're playing, you can just turn this on and it won't take up much room and you can still play your game. And of course, if you want to exit, you can just go down. So when you get the monitor, obviously it comes unassembled, but in regards to the specs on the back, here you have one HDMI, which is what I use for my display. We have a display port, which I will have a cable video for on screen somewhere. We have an audio jack right here, which you can plug speakers or headphones into. And this is the power jack where you plug your power cable into, and that's what powers the monitor. We also have 4 screws. I'm not sure what dimension that is. We got 4 different screws that you can mount the monitor on a mount. And then we have this thing right here, which is where the stand screws into. This is where the front of the monitor looks. Honestly, not much to it, but this is the 27-inch screen. It has an Ultra Gear logo right here. And on the bottom of the monitor is a power button, which I will show a video of the monitor turning on now. So when you turn the monitor on, there's a little button underneath here. And it makes a beeping sound. There is a setting in this to turn the beeping sound off, which I will show you in a minute. And then we have all sorts of stuff about volume, menu, press and hold power off, accessibility, all that good stuff. And to turn it back off, you just hit the power button until this menu comes up and then go up and it's off. This is the stand that the monitor comes with. It's a fairly wide stand. Like, this is how big it is holding it in my hand. And it's very sturdy. It has an LG logo down here, which is just like a little cool detail. And then back here is where the stand for the actual, this is the base for the stand. That's where the stand goes into. So this is what the stand looks like. It has a cool little Ultra Gear logo right there. And it's very well constructed. It's actually pretty heavy, which is good because it holds up a 27-inch monitor. There's a screw port at the bottom. And then this is the base. This whole thing with this yellow sticker here is what the monitor gets mounted onto. In order to put the monitor on the mount piece, you stick this into here and it stays in there. And it comes with these 2 little screws, which I will now screw into the monitor using a tool I have in my house. I now have the mount screwed into the monitor and I use this tool. This tool does not come with the monitor, by the way. I don't actually remember if the monitor comes with the tools or not. I'll watch my original review and put on the screen if it does or it doesn't. But a tool about yay size, I believe there's a Phillips head. A Phillips head about yay size should be about enough to screw the screws into the monitor. Now, in order to screw the base into the stand, there's a shape right here that will perfectly line up with this, although you may have to like stand the monitor up some to actually get it in there, or possibly even do this at the end of a table. Now, the screw for the base has a very bizarre shape to it, and this, by the way, if you're wondering, does not go, oh, I guess it actually does kind of go up, I forgot. Actually, yeah, when I first bought this, I did it like this to screw it in, but once it's been in there for a while, it's kind of hard, but you can just, you know, push this in there and you can screw it in using the handle, or you can use a tool, which I'm going to use. So I pretty much was able to use the handle to screw it in, so I'll put it down like this. But I will say, when you decide to unscrew this for any reason, whether it's cleaning, definitely use a tool about yay big, because it was really hard for me to get this out. I'm now going to use this tool to tighten the screw. And now that it's tightened, I'm going to show you what the monitor looks like standing up. So this is what the monitor looks like when it's standing up. It's a pretty decent sized monitor. It's big, but it's not huge. It looks kind of huge on camera, but whenever this is at my desk, this is like a great size for my desk. And right now I have it tilted kind of up because it can be tilted upwards. It can also be tilted downwards. I like to have it upwards. That way I can actually like, well, maybe not, I don't have it this upwards typically, but I have it like about middle level. But I think this is honestly like the best for the angle I sit at. And it's something I will mention that sometimes this monitor can, well, actually right now it's actually pretty sturdy, but if you don't screw it in the right way, it can actually be a bit wobbly, because I've had times where the monitor kind of like slouches here and then it kind of slouches here, and I have to like balance it out. But actually it's screwed in pretty well. So if you screw it in well, it should stay pretty balanced, and you can go down or go up with it depending on your preference. But yeah, those are the monitor's functions in terms of going up and down, or whatever the word for it is. So now that you've seen some of the physical details and some of the digital settings, some other stuff I want to talk about is the cable and the inputs. So there's 2 inputs on this monitor. There's one HDMI and there's also a display port. When it comes to the inputs on this monitor, there's 2 types of inputs. There's a display input and an HDMI input. Now, I personally run my laptop through an HDMI import to my monitor because my laptop does not have a display port on it. It's only has an HDMI, and that's kind of like the thing about this that I found frustrating is that the monitor itself came with a display port, which is not a bad thing, but I don't have a display port on my laptop, so I had to use my, and I'm still using it by the way, my HDMI from my PS4, which is hiding back behind my monitor, to plug it into my laptop. Now it works, that's not why I'm complaining, but I'm complaining because eventually I'm going to have to get another HDMI port so that I can have more than one thing going into here. And that's the other thing is that because there's only one HDMI port on this monitor, if you guys want to have a monitor that has multiple display ports on it, you're out of luck with this, so you're going to have to get like an HDMI splitter to plug multiple HDMIs into there or whatever. But if you have a display port device and you also have an HDMI device and that works for you, that's totally cool. But if you're like me, you don't have a display port device, that's not really an option for me. So eventually I probably will have to get another HDMI, and I will also have to put an HDMI splitter in here eventually, but I actually don't play too many console games right now, but I do kind of want to get back into console gaming and maybe stream some of that, so for when I do that, I'm going to have to find a way to fix that or resolve that eventually. One other cable I forgot to mention is that this monitor does come with a power cable, which I'll have some B-roll footage for right now. So a very important detail about this monitor that I forgot to mention in the original video where I unboxed this is that this monitor does not have a built-in speaker. It does have an aux port on the back of the monitor that you can plug an aux speaker into. However, because it doesn't come with aux speakers, as you probably could imagine, if you want to have audio on this thing, you've either got to have aux speakers with you, or you have to like plug headphones into the back of it, or if you have like a laptop like I do, I listen to stuff on my computer by listening through the laptop speaker, or I turn on my headphones that are plugged into my computer to listen to stuff. But no audio actually comes out of my monitor itself because I don't have an aux plugged into it and I don't have an aux speaker plugged into it. So that's a really important detail that I should have mentioned in the original video, and I'm sorry that I forgot to mention it. And if any of you bought this monitor and realized that it didn't have audio, I apologize deeply for not informing you sooner. However, I don't think aux speakers are that expensive. I mean, I would hope that if you guys wanted to get aux speakers for this monitor that it wouldn't cost too much, but that's just a really important thing going in. So, thankfully, because I have a laptop, I can just use my laptop speakers, or I can use my headphones that are plugged into my laptop. But if you have like a desktop PC, or if you want to play with consoles on this, you're going to have to get an aux speaker or an aux device of some sort to plug into the back of the monitor, as much of a pain as that might be. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the gaming response time. So, one of the things about this monitor that was a big factor to me that made me want to purchase it was the fact that it can go up to 165 hertz. Now, while the computer currently still has a 144 hertz resting, which is actually a pretty good hertz number for resting. However, when I've played games, depending on which game I'm playing or how much CPU power the game takes, it'll fluctuate. And that's the thing, those could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure the hertz on this monitor could also fluctuate depending on how powerful your PC is. I have a fairly powerful laptop, but I have to keep it plugged in and put it on turbo or performance in order to get it going. So if you have a desktop PC with a lot of power, I would assume that it probably would stay at 165 all the time, or average at around the high hertz, because the PC is so powerful. Because I have a just averagely powerful PC, it's actually still reaches hertz pretty well, and the games play on here pretty well, but it doesn't typically go to that max hertz. In fact, the maximum hertz I've ever seen personally on the monitor is the 144 resting. Now, I will say, you can find out how many hertz are going on your monitor if you have this thing on while you're doing something. I don't turn that on very often because it's very distracting, but I did, however, use that feature through a handful of games I'm going to go through to give you guys an idea of the hertz rate whenever I play with my laptop on this monitor. So whenever I've played Fortnite on my laptop, and I've done this on turbo setting on my laptop, whenever I had the setting on fast on FPS, it reached to about 60 to 120 hertz while I was playing, and then when I also put it on the faster setting, it actually still averaged about 60 to 120, so pretty good hertz rate for Fortnite. For Valorant, again, on both fast and faster, it averages at about 100 and 120 hertz, and this monitor is actually very good for Valorant, at least in my experience. Whenever it comes to CSGO, or Counter-Strike 2, or whatever it's called now, it was weird because when I had it set on fast for the mode, the hertz rate was about 50 to 100, so it actually wasn't that bad. But then when I had it on faster, it would go from 60 to 120 on an average hertz. And then for Overwatch, which I don't actually play much, but I played Overwatch on here just to test it, whenever I had it on the fast setting, the hertz was from about 80 to 120 hertz, and on the faster setting, it went from 100 to 120 hertz. So considering that I have a fairly powerful laptop and this monitor can go up to 165 hertz, those are actually not bad hertz averages at all. But if I had like a really bad PC, the hertz on here wouldn't reach that high. And if I had like a really amazing PC, the hertz on here would probably go even higher, I would think. So now that I got the gaming response times out of the way, a big question that a lot of you are going to be asking me is this monitor right for you? If the device you're using matches up any of the specs that I've listed, or if it sounds like your device would mesh well with these specs, I definitely recommend picking it up. However, there's some things I want to talk about real quick because I get a lot of questions about PS5s or whatever. So PS5s currently can go all the way up to 8K resolution if you have an 8K TV and has the 4K capabilities. And even my PS4 Pro back behind this thing has 4K capabilities. But because I'm not playing it on a 4K monitor, I'm only playing it on a full HD 1080p monitor, that 2160p ratio is not going to be picked up on this monitor. If I went and I plugged my PS4 Pro into my 4K TV right there, yeah, you bet that 4K resolution is going to be beaming. But the resolution, the reason I bring it up because some people don't mind playing 4K or 8K on a 1080p monitor. They don't really care about the resolution. They just want to like play the game and have like a small screen to play it on. Which if that's cool with you, then this monitor is definitely for you. However, if you want to play console and have those 4K capabilities on a 4K console or those 8K capabilities on an 8K console, this monitor is not going to be for you because it will not reach that resolution. And again, if you're okay with a monitor that doesn't have built-in speakers and want to get your own speakers to plug into the aux, that's cool. But if you want a monitor with speakers, this won't be for you. And also, if you want a monitor that has multiple displays that's actually a lot of HDMIs, not for you. But if you're okay with having one HDMI and getting a splitter, or having an HDMI and a display port, then this is definitely for you. However, it all depends on what consoles or PCs or whatever devices you're using and what you want to do with them and what your purpose with them is. So I hope that I was able to answer your questions. Another good question that I got asked in my comments, which I actually don't know because I've never been able to test it, was whether or not this monitor used HDMI 2.1. I didn't even know that HDMI 2.1 existed because I'm that out of the spectrum when it comes to like new technology. I'm just using what I currently have. So I don't know if it can use HDMI 2.1. When I looked up HDMI 2.1, it seemed to be like the same shape, so I would think that you could use it on there, but it also seemed like it would put your stuff at a higher resolution. I don't know why I'm losing my mind right now. I would assume that it would still display the thing on the monitor, but you wouldn't get those incredible resolution capabilities because this monitor does only go up to 1080p, so do with that what you will. So for me personally, I think this monitor is great for me because I don't have a super beast PC. I just have a pretty good run-of-the-mill laptop that this display really kind of just like helps enhance that experience by giving me a larger display to use and by giving me higher hertz and all that. So if you have a just standard run-of-the-mill PC or laptop and you don't really care about 4K capabilities or 8K capabilities or beast mode kind of stuff, then this monitor is great for just like average stuff. This monitor is also just a great display for average devices in general. But again, if you want to have those super high like beast computer displays or those super high resolutions with like a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, like that 4K, 8K stuff, this monitor is not going to be for you. But if you're like me and you just have an average run-of-the-mill gaming laptop and you just want to enhance that a little bit, then this monitor will definitely be for you. And I hope that this updated review helped you decide whether or not you want to get this monitor, and I hope that it helps you guys decide whether or not you want to pick up this monitor in 2024. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for the review today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope I was able to give you guys enough information in this update as I could. I really tried. I'm kind of running out of patience right now because this video is taking so long to make, but, you know, thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for watching the video. I hope that I was able to answer all your questions, and I hope that I was able to help recommend this to the right people. Thank you guys so much as always for watching the video. If you want to support the channel, please hit the like button as it really helps out. Feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified about my latest videos. And leave a comment down below letting me know what you thought about the monitor, or let me know if this was a great decision for you, or if you have any more questions, I'd be glad to answer them. So if you have any questions about the monitor, leave them down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much as always for watching. I can't wait to see what the rest of the year brings us. And yeah, it's been it. Peace.